Quite the show that was, wasn't it? Yeah, that family's got some chips on their shoulders. And the fact that his dad threw him out of the family just because he didn't perform to their expectations, that was pretty foul. Well, there's a number of reasons why families do that. I can only guess with this one, they allowed their reputation to cloud their judgment. I get it that there are many benefits to having that reputation, but to disown your own flesh and blood under those circumstances, that's just taking it too far. Oh, you really think I'd be a great dad, huh? Why do you think that? Yeah, well, I try to be. I do wish I was better at some things. Sounds like you had some rough times with dates in the past. Let me guess, when you asked your previous dates how they would raise the child, they talked about how gangsta they would make them or something like that? So for the daughter, it sounds like he wouldn't let her date at all. I can think of some current parents who do that with their children, and their children are almost adult age. There are some parents out there that are super locked down with their kids when it comes to dating. So right now they have a kid who has curiosity in dating, received no training, and no experience with guidance, and about to become an adult. That is a very common statement, actually. And thinking about it, when someone says, "Don't tell me how to deal with my child," oftentimes I hear a parent say that when they know they're messing up. And in situations like that, it usually takes reality busting down their own front door and telling them like it is. How would I raise our child? Besides parental love and affection, when they ask a question about life or circumstances, I'll answer it and put it in perspective, helping them to understand that we can only choose a procedure, not the outcome. Solid point. When our child notices us doing wrong and they address it, I think we should do exactly what we're supposed to do, which is show them the proper way to own up to mistakes and poor decisions. It would be baffling to me to repeat what I see a few parents do when they commit a misconduct and then react with aggressive and even physically aggressive mannerisms. Some folks may challenge that, saying I'm going to embolden the child to the point they feel they don't have to listen to me, but that's not what we're doing. What we're establishing with our child is we have enough maturity to own up to our mistakes and poor decisions, and that we should not be making excuses for them, which is the right way to deal with it. There is a respectful way to address when someone has wronged us. Now, if they do it in what some may consider a rude or disrespectful manner, let's look into that. Some may refer to a child snapping at their parents and sharing the reality of a situation as disrespectful, but what led to the child snapping? Do any of us just snap? Majority of the time, no, we don't. Critical events must occur that pushes us to that point. And what I have seen in many cases, even in my own life, there have been cases where our folks commit so many infractions that are inconsistent with what they tell us we ought to do. It leads to a state of us feeling oppressed. We try to address it calmly and respectfully. We get brushed off. Then, after so many times, the snapping is actually frustration, which that stress inside of us will eventually get overpressurized, and it has nowhere to go other than outside of us. So in the case of when a parent engineers a scenario as this, intentionally or not, but especially intentionally, when the child finally snaps, is the child really trying to be disrespectful, or are they just tired of being brushed off and in some cases oppressed? And they are now resorting to the only option left to be heard, which is making more noise. I've talked to some parents about this, and some of them responded how they would discipline the child by means of corporal punishment, stuff like that. There may be some reasons behind that, but there is a part of me concerned about how valid those reasons are related to what's right. You've seen how some of our peers behave negatively, and I'm asking myself more and more, where did that come from? How did that develop? What atmosphere were they exposed to? So likewise, should we take the step to tie the knot and start a family, one of my major priorities within that is how we raise our children. Learning from the choices of those who preceded us made and the impacts thereof and trying to understand the motives and everything, how can we improve these procedures of raising our own children? Am I going on for too long? You sure? You have anything you want to add? Okay, if you say so. So one major thing I believe we need to remember with our kids is we need to have patience with them. And we owe it to them to educate them and train them properly. See, one of the things that really stands out to me is we never got a say in our conception. And considering the crazy stuff that goes on with human society, our children may even ask us, why did we conceive them into all of this madness? How are we going to answer that? How should we answer that? I think we should have a solid why for starting a family in the first place. And I don't believe the answer, because we wanted a child, would have much merit. Us conceiving another human being just for our own satisfaction, I'm sure even some of us among the living who either heard that or caught vibes of that, it does not sit well with any of us. So perhaps it would be reasonable for us to have a little conviction, plus continuing the family name. I don't know if that's really going to stick either. I don't have all the answers, it's just some stuff in my head. So another thing I've come to grips with, upon starting a family, I understand and accept that our kids, just like every other person, will not be perfect. Even so, we can still train them to strive for improvement, to be better than what they were previously. And in that, they are also, just like any other person, susceptible to seeking vindictive avenues to get out of trouble. Therefore, we should not just take only their word in a situation. We need to investigate and get the whole picture as much as possible. I got countless stories of how many times parents and other loved ones take the side of said loved one only to be duped. I'm still struggling with that even now, and it's one reason I avoid certain family members and even some people. My introvertedness is really based on maintaining my own safety. Strict security with multiple access levels, which of course there may be some improvement necessary for those. One other big thing, if or when our kids see us making bad decisions, that is not the time to try silencing them or making up excuses. That's the time to teach them through our own examples of what it looks like to own up to our mistakes and poor choices. Otherwise, all we're teaching them is to be just as delinquent. Then when they hit middle school or high school, we get a bunch of calls related to detentions, conduct referrals, suspensions, or even expulsions, and then we're over here scratching our heads on how in the blue boxes of strawberry Pop-Tarts did this happen. Probably a little too much on that last part, but you get the idea. Also trying to lighten up the mood a little bit. Well, I'm glad you agree. Another thing, we could do all of the right things, and there is still a possibility that they could decide to go rogue. But at the very least, in that scenario, we would be able to say with confidence we did everything we could. And as they bump their heads through those rogue choices, we can still be there within safety measures, mind you, to help guide them back to the right path. And of course, one thing we make sure we do is we avoid giving them unreasonable passes for their misconduct. I'm sure you've seen parents do that from time to time. Say, you want to put a bookmark on this subject? I do realize I can go on for quite a while with all these layers of complexity. How about we pop in another TV series? Maybe this time one with a little comedy in it. All right. By the way, first one to fall asleep makes breakfast in the morning.